Chosen one. This is not coincidence, and it is not chance. You did not arrive here by scrolling curiosity or accident. You were drawn here by divine appointment, by perfect timing, written before this moment existed. Heaven has been watching your steps, and today you stand at the threshold of a supernatural shift. A divine transfer is stirring resources, favor, and provision aligned with your calling, not for greed, but for purpose. As it is written, the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. Chosen one. Something ancient is awakening, and what God is about to confirm will realign your identity, your inheritance, and your future. Prepare your spirit. What you are about to hear carries authority. Chosen one, let us begin in stillness rather than anticipation. Not because something dramatic is about to happen, but because something meaningful has already taken place within you. If you are here listening with a quiet attentiveness rather than urgency, it is not coincidence. It is recognition. There comes a moment after long endurance when the soul no longer asks for signs, no longer searches for confirmation, but simply notices itself breathing again. This is not the beginning of your journey. It is the moment you realize you are no longer running. There were seasons when everything in your life demanded effort. Faith required strain. Trust felt like something you had to hold tightly or risk losing. You learned how to stay standing when answers did not come, how to move forward when clarity refused to arrive, and over time, without announcement, something softened. The questions did not all disappear, but they lost their sharpness. The chaos did not vanish, but it no longer defined your center. This is not spiritual numbness. This is integration. It is what happens when the inner world finally catches up with what the outer world has already survived. You may have noticed it as quiet fatigue, not the exhaustion that begs for escape, but the tiredness that follows completion, the kind that comes after carrying weight for too long and finally setting it down. Many mistake this for losing passion or direction. But what you are feeling is the nervous system, the heart, and the spirit no longer fighting reality. They are learning how to rest inside it. This is not the absence of purpose. It is purpose no longer shouting. Chosen one. There is a subtle difference between being guided and being driven. In earlier seasons, movement came from pressure. You pushed because stopping felt dangerous. You believed rest might undo you. But now, even in moments of uncertainty, you sense a steadiness beneath the surface. You are not waiting for God to arrive. You are noticing that presence was never absent. The divine was not something acting upon you from the outside. It was the quiet coherence that held you together when nothing else made sense. There is a sacred wisdom in what you have lived through that does not announce itself loudly. It shows up in how you respond instead of react, how you listen instead of defend, how you pause instead of rush to fix. This is not because you became stronger in the way the world celebrates strength. It is because you became honest enough to stop resisting what was already shaping you. Scripture once described this simply: be still and know, not do more, not understand everything, just be still and recognize what has already taken root. You may still carry doubts. Integration does not erase them, it places them in proportion. Doubt no longer threatens your identity because your identity is no longer built on certainty. It is built on lived experience. You know what it feels like to keep going when belief felt thin. You know what it means to choose integrity when no one was watching. These are not lessons you can learn quickly or teach easily. They are embodied. They live in how you move through ordinary days, how you speak when words matter, how you remain present when distraction would be easier, This is why nothing feels rushed now. The urgency has fallen away, not because nothing matters, but because you finally trust the process that formed you. Surrender in this space is not giving up. It is releasing the habit of striving against yourself. It is allowing what has already matured within you to breathe. You are no longer trying to become worthy. You are learning how to live as someone who already is. Chosen one. What you are experiencing is not preparation for something external. It is alignment within. Faith is no longer an idea you reach for. It is a posture you inhabit. God is no longer a distant authority you appeal to in moments of need. The divine is the coherence you feel when your thoughts, actions, and inner truth no longer contradict each other. This union is quiet. It does not demand attention. It simply stabilizes you. If there is one thing to notice now, it is this: you are not empty and you are not waiting. You are integrating. The stillness you feel is not stagnation. It is the ground settling after a long season of movement. There is nothing to force here, nothing to accelerate. This moment asks only for awareness. To recognize that you are no longer who you were, and you do not need to rush toward who you will be. You are here, whole enough to rest, awake enough to notice, and grounded enough to remain. Chosen one. After recognition comes a quieter realization. What you feel now is not absence, but space. When the constant tension releases, the inner world can feel unfamiliar, almost too open. Many misinterpret this as losing direction, when in truth, it is the first time direction is no longer forced. You are no longer being pulled forward by urgency or fear. You are standing in a pause that has weight, substance, and meaning. There was a season when motion itself felt like survival. To stop would have meant feeling everything at once, and you were not ready for that then. So you learned how to function while carrying unresolved layers inside you. You adapted, you endured, you became capable in ways that were necessary at the time. But endurance always has a cost. Eventually, the body, the mind, and the spirit ask for something different, not escape, but integration. What you are experiencing now is that request being honored. You may notice that old reactions no longer rise as quickly. Situations that once triggered intensity now pass through you with less resistance. This does not mean you care less. It means your inner system is no longer built entirely around defense. Awareness has replaced vigilance. You are learning how to stay present without bracing yourself. This is not weakness. This is maturity. There is often a strange grief that appears here. Not grief for what you lost, but grief for how long you had to carry everything alone. It surfaces quietly without drama. You may feel it when things are calm, when nothing is wrong, when life finally gives you room to exhale. This grief does not ask to be fixed. It asks to be witnessed. It is part of the healing that happens when striving ends and honesty begins. Chosen. One faith at this stage feels different. It is no longer built on intensity or constant reassurance. It is quieter, more embodied. You do not reach upward as often because you sense that what you once sought above is already present within your lived awareness. This does not diminish reverence, it deepens it. God is no longer an external force you appeal to when things fall apart. The divine is the steady presence you notice when you stop arguing with reality. There is a line of sacred wisdom that speaks of a peace that surpasses understanding. This peace does not arrive by solving every question. It arrives when the questions no longer threaten your sense of self. You're allowed to not know everything. You're allowed to move slowly. You're allowed to trust the wisdom that formed through experience rather than explanation. You may find yourself less interested in proving anything to others or to yourself. The need to be seen as strong, faithful, or certain begins to dissolve, not because those qualities vanished, but because they no longer require performance. What remains is sincerity, and sincerity has a gravity of its own. It does not announce itself. It simply shapes how you live. Chosen one, notice how your attention has changed. You listen more than you speak. You sense when something is misaligned without needing to analyze it endlessly. You walk away from what drains you, not out of anger, but clarity. These are signs of integration. The inner world and the outer world are beginning to speak the same language. This is also where surrender takes on a new meaning. It is not submission to an external will. It is the release of inner resistance. You stop fighting the pace of your own becoming. You allow growth to be gradual, uneven, human. Surrender here is deeply practical. It shows up in rest, in boundaries, in choosing what nourishes rather than what impresses. You may still feel moments of doubt. That does not disqualify you. Doubt at this stage is not a threat. It is a checkpoint. It asks whether you are living from habit or from truth. You no longer need certainty to move forward. You move forward because your inner compass has been calibrated by lived experience. That is a quieter, sturdier form of knowing. Chosen one. Nothing needs to be forced now. The work is not about reaching higher states or uncovering hidden identities. It is about allowing what has already been formed to integrate fully into how you live, speak, choose, and rest. The sacred does not rush, it unfolds. If there is an invitation in this moment, it is simple. Stay present with what is already here. Let the stillness teach you. Let the fatigue be honored rather than judged. Let faith be something you inhabit, not something you perform. You are not behind. You are not empty. You are learning how to live from the inside out, where union replaces effort and awareness replaces strain. Chosen one. There is a moment in this path where the mind expects something dramatic to follow the stillness, but instead encounters simplicity. Not emptiness, not boredom, but an ordinary clarity that feels almost unfamiliar. After long endurance, many anticipate a reward that arrives loudly. What arrives instead is alignment. And alignment does not announce itself. It simply removes friction. You may notice that your inner dialogue has changed. Thoughts still arise, but they no longer pull you into constant negotiation with yourself. The voice that once questioned every step has softened, not because answers appeared, but because trust has been rebuilt quietly from experience. You have seen yourself survive what you once believed would undo you. That knowing settles into the body more deeply than any reassurance ever could. There is often confusion here because growth at this stage looks like less effort, not more. You may do fewer things, speak less, engage selectively. From the outside, it can appear like withdrawal. Internally, it feels like discernment. You are no longer scattering energy to prove worth or direction. You are conserving it to remain coherent. This is not retreat. It is refinement. Chosen one identity at this point is no longer a concept you repeat. It is something you feel when your actions align with your values without force. You do not wake each day asking who you should be. You wake sensing who you already are and adjusting gently rather than reinventing yourself. This is the difference between construction and embodiment. Construction is loud and exhausting. Embodiment is quiet and sustainable. You may find that certain desires have faded. Goals that once felt urgent now feel hollow. This can be unsettling. The mind wonders if something has gone wrong, but what is actually happening is that motivations rooted in lack are dissolving. You are no longer driven by the need to compensate for old wounds. What remains are desires that feel calm, spacious, and grounded. They do not demand immediate action. They invite patience. This is also where comparison loses its grip. You no longer measure your path against others with the same intensity. Their pace does not threaten you. Their clarity does not diminish you. You recognize that your timing has been shaped by what you had to endure and integrate, and you respect that timing enough not to rush it now. This respect is a form of self-trust that cannot be learned quickly. Chosen one. There is a sacred ordinariness in this phase. Daily life becomes the place where integration is tested and lived. Not in grand declarations, but in how you respond when plans change, when fatigue appears, when silence stretches longer than expected. You begin to notice that the divine is not something you visit occasionally. It is the quality of presence you bring into these moments. You may recall a teaching that speaks of a kingdom not found here or there, but within. This is not metaphorical at this stage. It is experiential. Union is felt as coherence. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions stop pulling in different directions, there is a sense of wholeness that does not require explanation. This is faith without strain. There is also humility here, but not the kind that diminishes you. It is the humility of seeing clearly. You know what you can carry and what you can release. You stop forcing yourself into roles that no longer fit. You stop apologizing for the pace that keeps you whole. This humility creates stability rather than collapse. Chosen one integration does not remove challenge. Life continues to unfold with complexity, but you meet it differently now. You pause before reacting. You feel before deciding. You allow uncertainty to exist without immediately trying to conquer it. This creates space for wiser responses to emerge. Not perfect ones, honest ones. There may still be moments when old patterns knock at the door. Familiar fears, familiar doubts. Integration does not erase history. It changes your relationship to it. You recognize these patterns without identifying with them. They no longer define you. They inform you. And then they pass. If there is a quiet invitation in this phase, it is to trust what has already been integrated rather than seeking constant confirmation. You do not need to keep proving your growth to yourself. You live it. You feel it in the way your body rests more easily, in the way your choices align with your values, in the way you no longer abandon yourself to meet external expectations. Chosen one. This is not a plateau, it is a foundation settling. There is strength in this stillness, but it is not aggressive. It is steady. Allow it to teach you how to move from wholeness rather than hunger. Nothing is missing. Nothing needs to be rushed. What comes next will emerge from this ground naturally, in its own time, without force. Chosen one. There is a subtle shift that occurs when integration deepens, and it often goes unnoticed because it feels so natural. You begin to relate to yourself with less resistance, not because everything inside you is resolved, but because you are no longer at war with what remains unfinished. This is a quiet mercy you extend inward, and it changes how life meets you. Earlier growth may have felt like pressure to improve, to heal faster, to arrive somewhere more defined. Now growth feels like allowance. You let yourself be human without turning that humanity into a problem to solve. You notice fatigue without judging it as failure. You notice joy without questioning how long it will last. This neutrality is not indifference. It is balance returning to its center. There is often a softening of self-talk here. The inner voice that once demanded clarity, performance, or certainty begins to sound more like companionship than command. You speak to yourself the way you would to someone you respect, honestly, patiently, without dramatizing every misstep. This change alone can feel like relief spreading through the body. The nervous system begins to trust that it will not be punished for being honest. Chosen one. This is where faith becomes deeply practical. Not belief as a statement, but trust as a lived posture. You trust that rest is allowed. You trust that not everything needs to be decided today. You trust that meaning does not disappear when you stop striving for it. This trust does not come from optimism. It comes from having survived seasons where nothing external reassured you, yet something within kept you standing. You may notice that your relationship with silence has changed. Silence once felt heavy, even threatening, filled with unanswered questions. Now it feels like space you can inhabit. You are no longer afraid of what will surface if things slow down. You have already met much of what was hidden. What remains does not need to be forced into awareness. It will rise when it is ready. There is also a growing honesty about limits. You no longer push past them to prove strength. You respect them as signals rather than obstacles. This respect brings a new kind of discipline, not one driven by fear of falling behind, but by care for what sustains you. You choose rhythms that support integration rather than exhaust it. This is wisdom earned, not adopted. Chosen one. You may find that your prayers, if you still call them that, have changed. They are less about asking and more about aligning, less about words and more about presence. Sometimes they take the form of a quiet acknowledgement. This is where I am, and that is enough. There is no performance here, no script, just honesty meeting awareness. There is a passage of sacred wisdom that speaks of being transformed by the renewing of the mind. At this stage, that renewal does not feel like replacing thoughts with better ones. It feels like releasing the grip those thoughts once had. The mind becomes a tool rather than a battlefield. Thoughts pass through without defining you. This is not detachment from life. It is freedom within it. You may also notice changes in how you relate to others. You listen more fully. You speak more selectively. You no longer feel compelled to explain yourself into understanding. This does not come from withdrawal, but from clarity. You recognize when connection is mutual and when it is forced. You allow distance where resonance is absent without resentment or superiority. This creates cleaner, quieter relationships. Chosen one. There can be moments of loneliness here, not because you are isolated, but because you no longer bond through shared struggle in the same way. Old dynamics fall away. This can feel strange, even tender, but it also opens space for relationships rooted in presence rather than survival. You are not meant to carry everyone with you. You are meant to carry yourself honestly. Integration also teaches you patience with timing. You stop interpreting delays as denial. You understand that some things unfold only after enough internal stability exists to hold them. This patience is not passive, it is attentive. You remain engaged with life without forcing outcomes. You show up fully without gripping the future. If there is an invitation here, it is to continue honoring what has changed without needing to label it. You do not need to announce this phase or explain it to anyone. Let it live quietly. Let it shape you from the inside. You are learning how to dwell within yourself without resistance, and that dwelling is sacred ground. Chosen one. Nothing is being taken from you in this season. What is falling away no longer belongs. What remains is sufficient. You're not waiting for life to begin again. You're living from a deeper center now, one that knows how to hold complexity without collapse, stillness without fear, and faith without strain. Chosen one, as integration continues, something else begins to reveal itself, not as insight, but as steadiness. You notice that your inner life no longer swings as wildly between certainty and doubt. Emotions still move, circumstances still change, but they do not carry you away in the same manner. There is a groundedness that remains even when clarity fades. This groundedness is not confidence in outcomes. It is confidence in your capacity to stay present with whatever unfolds. You may realize that you no longer chase meaning in the same way. There was a time when you searched for signs in every event, hoping each moment would explain itself. Now meaning feels less like something to be extracted and more like something that emerges naturally when you are aligned. You live your days without constantly asking what they are for. You allow them to be what they are, and strangely, that is when purpose feels closest. This is also where responsibility takes on a new tone. Not the heavy responsibility of carrying everything alone, but the gentle responsibility of caring for your inner state. You recognize that how you show up matters not because you must perform, but because presence shapes reality. You choose your words with more care. You choose your commitments with more honesty. You are less interested in being everywhere and more committed to being whole where you are. Chosen one, there can be moments of subtle resistance here. The mind accustomed to effort may feel uneasy with ease. It may whisper that you should be doing more, striving harder, reaching further. But you are learning how to discern between movement that is aligned and movement that is driven by habit. You pause before acting. You listen for resonance rather than urgency. This listening is not passive, it is intelligent. There is a quiet courage required to trust simplicity. Complexity once made you feel alive, necessary, engaged. Now simplicity invites you to remain, to stay with what is ordinary, to notice that transformation often happens through repetition rather than intensity. Through choosing integrity again and again, even when no one is watching. Through showing up to your own life without embellishment. You may notice how your body responds differently now. Tension releases more easily. Fatigue speaks sooner. You no longer override these signals as obstacles. You receive them as information. This is a form of embodiment that many overlook. Spiritual integration does not bypass the physical. It settles into it. The body becomes a place of listening rather than endurance. Chosen one. Your relationship with uncertainty is also changing. You do not need to resolve it immediately. You allow questions to remain open without turning them into sources of anxiety. There is trust in the unfolding, not blind trust, but earned trust. You have seen how clarity arrives in its own time, often after you stop demanding it. This patience is not learned through theory, it is learned through living. There may be moments when you feel less visible, less remarkable. This can stir old fears of being overlooked. But look closely. What has faded is not your presence, but the need to be validated by reaction. You are learning how to exist without constantly reflecting yourself through others' responses. This is freedom, though it may feel unfamiliar at first. Chosen one. There is also a deepening compassion that arises naturally here. Not the compassion that fixes or rescues, but the compassion that understands. You see others acting from places of fear or fragmentation, and you recognize the pattern without judgment. You do not need to correct or distance yourself aggressively. You simply choose what aligns with your values and let the rest be. This compassion begins inward and radiates outward without effort. If faith still has a name in your life, it likely feels quieter now, less ceremonial, more lived. It shows up in trust during mundane moments, in patience when plans shift, in gentleness toward yourself when you fall short. There is a teaching that speaks of walking humbly. At this stage, humility is not self-diminishment. It is accurate self-perception. You know your limits. You honor your growth. You do not exaggerate either. Chosen one integration also brings discernment about time. You sense when to engage and when to rest, when to speak and when silence serves more. This discernment is not rigid. It is responsive. You adapt without losing yourself. This flexibility is a sign of inner stability. If there is an invitation in this phase, it is to continue trusting what feels grounded rather than what feels impressive. To let your life be shaped by coherence instead of urgency. You are not losing momentum, you are gaining depth, and depth moves differently. It does not rush. It carries weight, quietly shaping what comes next, without needing to announce itself. Chosen one, there comes a stage in integration where you begin to notice not what is happening, but how you are meeting what happens. The external world continues with its familiar unpredictability, yet your inner response carries a different quality. There is less tightening, less immediate interpretation, less need to assign meaning before fully experiencing the moment. This is not detachment. It is presence without defense. You may recognize that your attention no longer scatters as easily. Distractions still exist, but they do not hook into you with the same force. You are able to remain with a thought, a feeling, a conversation without being pulled away by internal noise. This stability is not concentration in the forced sense. It is coherence. Your inner world is no longer fragmented, so attention gathers naturally. There is also a shift in how you experience time. Moments feel fuller, even when nothing significant appears to be happening. You notice subtleties you once overlooked: the tone of a room, the rhythm of your breath, the way certain environments either nourish or drain you. These observations do not lead to over-analysis. They simply inform your choices. You begin to arrange your life around what sustains you rather than what stimulates you. Chosen one. This is often where the old habit of self-improvement fades. You are no longer constantly asking how to become better. Instead, you ask how to remain honest. Improvement was necessary when survival demanded adaptation. Honesty is what integration requires. You let go of the idea that there is a perfected version of you waiting somewhere ahead. You live from what is already true now. You may notice that conflict feels different. You do not avoid it, but you no longer seek resolution through control. You allow space for misunderstanding without immediately rushing to correct it. This does not mean you abandon your boundaries. It means you trust clarity to emerge without force. There is a strength in allowing others to sit with their own reactions while you remain grounded in yours. There can be moments of subtle grief here as well, not grief for what you lost, but for how long you believed you had to struggle to be worthy of peace. This grief does not overwhelm, it softens. It allows compassion to move inward toward the parts of you that learned endurance too early. Integration honors that endurance without turning it into identity. Chosen one. Your relationship with effort is transforming. You still act, still choose, still commit. But effort no longer comes from resistance. It comes from alignment. When something is aligned, movement feels clean. When it is not, resistance appears quickly. You listen to that resistance now rather than overriding it. This listening prevents unnecessary depletion. You may find that your sense of self is less tied to narrative. You do not need to constantly explain who you are or where you are going. Identity feels less like a story you tell and more like a presence you inhabit. Others may sense this even if they cannot name it. There is a calm authority in coherence that does not require assertion. There is a line of wisdom that speaks of a yoke that is easy and a burden that is light. At this stage, this is no longer metaphor. You feel the difference between carrying what belongs to you and carrying what does not. You set down what was never yours to hold other people's expectations, unresolved projections, outdated roles. What remains fits. It does not strain you. Chosen one. Rest takes on a deeper meaning now. It is not simply the absence of activity. It is the presence of permission. You allow yourself to pause without guilt. You trust that stillness does not erase progress. In fact, it reveals what progress has already accomplished. Rest becomes a way of listening rather than escaping. You may also notice a change in how you approach decisions. You do not rush them. You feel into them. You sense whether something expands or contracts your inner space. This discernment is quiet but reliable. It has been shaped by every moment you survived without clarity and still chose integrity. That history now informs your present without weighing it down. If there is an invitation here, it is to continue honoring this subtle strength, not by protecting it aggressively, but by living from it gently. Integration does not ask you to withdraw from life. It asks you to meet life without fragmentation. You are not becoming someone new. You are inhabiting yourself more fully. Chosen one. There is nothing to prove at this stage. What you have integrated speaks through how you move, how you listen, how you rest. The sacred is not arriving from elsewhere. It is already present in the coherence you now live from. And that presence is enough to carry what comes next, without strain, without urgency, without fear. Chosen one. There is a quiet confidence that begins to surface now, not the kind that declares itself, but the kind that no longer asks for permission to exist. It is not boldness in the outward sense. It is an inner assurance that you can remain with yourself regardless of circumstance. You trust your capacity to stay present, to feel fully, to respond rather than react. This trust is not abstract. It has been earned through lived moments where you stayed when leaving would have been easier. You may notice that your relationship with choice has matured. Decisions are no longer weighed down by fear of making the wrong one. You understand now that most paths teach rather than punish. This understanding frees you from paralysis. You choose with sincerity rather than certainty, knowing that integrity matters more than outcome. This is not recklessness. It is grounded movement rooted in self-respect. There is also a deepening respect for your own rhythm. You no longer compare your pace to external timelines or imagined milestones. You sense when to move and when to pause, and you honor that sensing even when it contradicts expectations. This respect creates stability. You stop abandoning yourself to keep up. You arrive where you're fully, without apology. Chosen one. Your inner world now has a different texture. Emotions still arise, but they move through a wider space. You're less likely to collapse into them or push them away. You allow them to inform you without allowing them to command you. This balance is subtle, but it changes everything. You are no longer ruled by what you feel, nor disconnected from it. You are in relationship with it. You may also notice that the need to narrate your experience has softened. You do not need to constantly explain what you are learning or becoming. The integration speaks for itself. It shows up in how you hold conversations, how you listen without planning your response, how you remain grounded when others are reactive. Presence becomes your language. There is a kind of authority that emerges here, but it does not resemble control. It is the authority of self-trust. You trust your discernment enough not to over-justify it. You trust your values enough not to defend them aggressively. You trust your limits enough to honor them without resentment. This authority is quiet, but it is unmistakable. Chosen one. You may find that your relationship with faith feels simpler now, less conceptual, more lived. You no longer need constant affirmation that you are aligned. You feel alignment when your actions and inner truth match. There is a sacred ease in this, not complacency, but coherence. The divine is not something you reach toward. It is something you recognize in the moments when you stop resisting what is. There is a passage of wisdom that speaks of abiding rather than striving. At this stage, abiding is no longer an idea. It is a way of inhabiting your life. You remain present in moments that once would have pulled you into overthinking or avoidance. You stay with discomfort long enough for it to soften. You allow joy without bracing for its disappearance. This is trust embodied. You may also notice a change in how you engage with the future. You still plan, still imagine, still hope. But the future no longer holds your sense of worth. You are not living toward a version of yourself that must be achieved to be valid. You are living from who you already are, allowing what comes next to build on that foundation rather than replace it. Chosen. One, there is a gentle responsibility that accompanies this stage. Not the burden of fixing the world, but the responsibility of staying true to your integration. You notice when you begin to slip back into old patterns of urgency or self-neglect. And instead of judging yourself, you correct course with kindness. This self-correction is a sign of maturity, not failure. You may find that others respond differently to you now. Some feel drawn to the steadiness you carry. Others may feel unsettled by it. This is not something to manage. It is simply resonance revealing itself. You are not here to be universally comfortable. You are here to be honest. And honesty has its own gravity. If there is an invitation here, it is to continue living from this grounded center without trying to define it too tightly. Let it remain a live, responsive human. Integration is not a final state. It is an ongoing relationship with yourself, with life, with the sacred. One that deepens as you continue to choose presence over performance. Chosen one. You are not moving toward wholeness anymore. You are living from it. What unfolds from here will not require you to abandon yourself. It will ask you to remain, and you have already learned how to do that. Chosen one. There is a stage where integration stops feeling like work and begins to feel like orientation. You are no longer asking yourself, am I doing this right as often? Instead, you are sensing, is this aligned with how I live now? That shift matters. It means your inner compass is no longer theoretical. It has been calibrated through experience, through mistakes that taught discernment, through endurance that refined honesty. You move differently because you are listening from a deeper place. You may notice that effort has changed its meaning. You still apply yourself, still care, still show up. But the effort is no longer fueled by fear of falling behind or being overlooked. It comes from clarity. You do what needs to be done because it belongs to you, not because you are trying to earn permission to exist. This removes a constant background tension you may not have realized you were carrying. Life becomes quieter, not because challenges disappear, but because you are no longer at war with yourself while meeting them. There is also a new relationship with rest forming inside you. Rest is no longer collapse. It is not something you justify after exhaustion. It becomes a deliberate choice, a way of honoring your limits without shame. You rest because you recognize that presence requires capacity and capacity requires care. This is not withdrawal from life. It is participation with wisdom. You stop equating stillness with stagnation. Chosen one. Your sense of identity is now less reactive. You are not as easily defined by what goes well or what goes wrong. Success does not inflate you, and difficulty does not erase you. You remain recognizable to yourself across changing circumstances. This continuity is integration at work. You are learning that identity is not something that needs to be protected aggressively. It holds when you hold it gently. You may find that old questions about purpose sound different now. Instead of asking, "What am I meant to do?" you may find yourself asking, "How am I meant to be present with what is already here?" Purpose becomes less about destination and more about quality of attention. You discover meaning in ordinary acts done with sincerity. This does not make your life smaller, it makes it truer. There is often grief that accompanies this realization, even if it is subtle. Grief for the years spent striving, proving, pushing past your own signals. Grief for versions of yourself that survived without support. Let this grief be what it is. It does not mean you failed. It means you see clearly now. Grief, when allowed, becomes a form of respect for your own history. Chosen one. You may also notice that your boundaries feel less defensive. You do not set them to keep others out, but to keep yourself intact. You say no without needing to explain excessively. You say yes without abandoning yourself. This balance is not rigid, it is responsive, it adjusts as you do. Boundaries become expressions of self-knowledge rather than reactions to past harm. There is a deeper humility present at this stage, but it is not self-diminishing. It is the humility of knowing you are human and whole at the same time. You no longer need to appear resolved or enlightened. You allow yourself to be unfinished without feeling lost. This humility creates space for genuine connection because you are no longer relating from performance. You may notice that silence has become more comfortable, not the silence of avoidance, but the silence of sufficiency. You do not rush to fill gaps with words or explanations. You let moments breathe. In that breathing space, insight often arises on its own. You trust that what matters will surface without force. Chosen one. Faith at this stage feels less like belief and more like trust in process. You trust that life is not random even when it is unclear. You trust that growth does not always announce itself. You trust that what has been integrated will support you when you need it. This trust is quiet, but it steadies you when uncertainty appears. You may find yourself less interested in narratives that promise transformation and more interested in practices that support embodiment. You choose what helps you stay grounded rather than what excites you temporarily. This discernment is not cynicism, it is maturity. You know the difference between stimulation and nourishment now. If there is tension here, it often comes from learning to live without constant intensity. The nervous system, once accustomed to urgency, may take time to trust calm. Be patient with this. Calm is not emptiness. It is space. Space allows integration to settle fully into the body, into behavior, into daily life. Chosen one. You are not stepping into something dramatic here. You are settling into something real. This stage does not ask you to become more than you are. It asks you to stay with what has already formed within you, to live it quietly, to let it guide you without needing to announce it. What unfolds from this place will feel less like a breakthrough and more like continuity. You will recognize yourself in your actions. You will recognize your values in your choices. You will recognize the sacred not as an interruption, but as an undercurrent running through ordinary moments. And this too is union. Not an arrival marked by certainty, but a way of walking that no longer fragments you. You are not searching for alignment anymore. You are practicing it one honest moment at a time. Chosen one. There is a point where living from integration begins to reshape how you relate to time itself. You no longer experience time as something chasing you or something you must outrun. It becomes something you move with. Moments stop feeling like obstacles or checkpoints and start feeling like places you arrive. This shift is subtle, but it changes how you breathe, how you decide, how you stay present when nothing dramatic is happening. You are not waiting for your life to begin anymore. You recognize that it has been unfolding all along. You may notice that patience now carries a different quality. It is no longer forced restraint or silent frustration. It becomes an active willingness to let things take their shape. You still care about outcomes, but you are not clenched around them. You allow processes to mature. You trust that clarity often arrives after consistency, not before it. This patience is not passive. It is grounded. It holds intention without tension. There is also a growing honesty in how you assess your energy. You are less tempted to override yourself for approval or momentum. When you feel tired, you acknowledge it. When you feel capable, you act. You stop moralizing your capacity. You do not see rest as virtue or productivity as worth. You see both as movements within a living system that needs balance to remain whole. Chosen one, your relationship with uncertainty has softened. You do not require immediate answers to feel safe. Questions can remain open without threatening your sense of direction. This is not because you have fewer doubts, but because doubt no longer defines you. It passes through without taking residence. You understand that certainty is not the foundation of faith or consciousness. Presence is. You may notice that conversations change. You listen more fully, not to respond, but to understand. You speak more deliberately, not to persuade, but to be accurate. There is less urgency to be seen as right. There is more care in being true. This often brings a quieter depth to your interactions. Some people feel this immediately. Others may not know how to meet it. Either way, you remain grounded in yourself. There can be moments when you miss the intensity of earlier phases, the sharp edges, the dramatic contrasts, the feeling of being propelled by urgency. This nostalgia is understandable. Intensity can feel like aliveness, but you are learning that aliveness does not require constant friction. It can exist as steadiness, as continuity, as the capacity to stay present without needing to be activated. Chosen one, you may begin to sense a deeper compassion for others that is not sentimental. You see how much people carry without language. You recognize familiar patterns of striving, avoidance, fear. This recognition does not make you responsible for fixing them. It simply allows you to respond with less judgment and more discernment. Compassion becomes a way of seeing clearly, not a demand to overextend. Your inner dialogue also changes tone. The voice that once pushed or criticized begins to quiet. In its place, there is a more neutral, observant awareness. You still reflect on your actions, but without harshness. You learn from experience instead of punishing yourself for it. This internal environment supports growth far more than pressure ever did. There is a growing sense of sufficiency here, not complacency, but enoughness. You know that you're not complete in some final sense, yet you feel whole in the present moment. This allows you to engage with life from choice rather than lack. You pursue what resonates, not what promises to fill a void. This distinction protects your energy and clarifies your path. Chosen one. Faith at this stage is less about affirmation and more about orientation. It is the quiet decision to return to alignment when you drift. To notice when you are acting from habit rather than intention. To pause and recalibrate without self-blame. This is how integration stays alive. Not through perfection, but through responsiveness. You may find that your sense of the sacred becomes less conceptual and more embodied. It appears in how you treat your body, your time, your attention. It shows up in how you honor limits and maintain integrity in small choices. The sacred is no longer something you reach for. It is something you live within. There can be moments of loneliness here even when you are not alone. Integration can create distance from old dynamics that no longer fit. This does not mean you are meant to withdraw. It means you are learning to relate without abandoning yourself. Over time, connections that resonate with this steadiness will emerge naturally. Chosen one. Nothing about this phase needs to be announced. It does not require validation. Its strength lies in its quiet consistency. You show up as yourself across contexts. You are less fragmented, less performative, more real. This reality does not need to be impressive. It needs to be sustainable. As you continue, remember that integration is not a finish line. It is a way of living that adapts as you do. Some days will feel clear, others will feel opaque. Neither negates the work that has already settled within you. Trust that what has been integrated will express itself when needed. You are not moving toward wholeness anymore. You are learning how to live from it. One choice, one moment, one honest breath at a time. Chosen one. There comes a stage where integration reveals itself, not through insight, but through how you live, when nothing is asking for your attention, when no crisis demands your strength, when no decision feels urgent, when there is simply a day to move through ordinary and unremarkable. This is where what has settled within you becomes visible, not to others necessarily, but to you. You notice how you wake up, how you enter silence, how you meet yourself before the world has a chance to define you. In earlier seasons, identity was often shaped in response. You adapted to survive, adjusted to be accepted, learned how to read the room before you trusted your own center. Those skills served you once. They kept you safe. But now you may notice that you no longer scan for permission. You move from an internal reference point, not rigidly, not defensively, simply honestly. This is not rebellion, it is coherence. There is a quiet confidence that emerges here, though it does not announce itself as confidence. It feels more like steadiness. You trust your perception without needing to convince anyone else. You can be wrong without collapsing. You can change your mind without losing yourself. Flexibility no longer threatens your identity because your identity is not brittle. It is grounded, chosen. This is where responsibility takes on a new meaning, not responsibility as burden, but as authorship. You recognize that while you did not choose everything that shaped you, you now choose how it lives through you. You are attentive to your patterns, not to control them, but to understand them. Awareness replaces suppression. Curiosity replaces judgment. This allows change to happen organically without force. You may notice that motivation no longer comes from pressure, it arises from alignment. When something resonates, you move toward it naturally. When it does not, you do not need to justify your refusal. This does not make you detached from the world. It makes you selective about where you invest your life. Your yes carries more weight because it is no longer automatic. There is also a growing respect for your limits, not as flaws, but as information. You listen to fatigue. You notice when engagement turns into obligation. You recognize when silence is restorative rather than avoidant. This discernment protects what is essential in you. It allows you to remain present without being depleted. Chosen. One integration changes how you relate to struggle. You no longer romanticize it, nor do you fear it. You understand that difficulty is part of living, not a verdict on your progress. When challenges arise, you meet them with less drama. You respond rather than react. This does not mean you feel less. It means you feel without being overwhelmed by what you feel. There is a subtle grief that can surface here. Grief for versions of yourself that worked so hard to survive. For beliefs that once gave structure but no longer fit. For relationships that were meaningful but cannot accompany you further. This grief is not a sign of regression. It is a sign of honesty. You allow it to move through without trying to spiritualize it away. In this space, faith becomes less about language and more about posture. It is the willingness to remain open when answers are incomplete, to stay grounded when outcomes are uncertain, to trust the process of becoming without demanding constant reassurance. This faith is quiet, durable, and deeply personal. Chosen one. You may notice that your sense of purpose becomes less defined by roles and more by presence. You are less concerned with what you are meant to do and more attentive to how you are meant to be. This does not diminish impact, it refines it. Presence carries influence without effort. Integrity communicates without explanation. You also begin to see how much of life unfolds without your intervention. You stop trying to manage outcomes that are not yours to control. You focus on what is within reach: your attention, your choices, your care. This creates a sense of freedom that is not escapist. It is grounded in reality. There is a gentleness in this phase that may feel unfamiliar. You are not driven by urgency or fear of missing out. You allow things to come toward you. You recognize when it is time to act and when it is time to wait. This rhythm is not imposed. It emerges naturally when inner resistance softens. Chosen one. This is what living from integration looks like. Not dramatic. Not performative, deeply human. You are not trying to arrive anywhere else. You are learning how to remain where you are, fully, honestly, without fragmentation. This is not the end of your unfolding. It is the ground from which everything else grows. Nothing needs to be forced from here. Nothing needs to be proven. What has been integrated will continue to express itself in ways both visible and subtle. Trust that your life knows how to move forward when you allow it to move from wholeness rather than lack. You are not becoming someone new. You are living as who you already are. Chosen one. There is a quiet maturity that settles in when integration has had time to root itself in daily life. It shows up not in what you claim, but in how you return to yourself after being pulled outward. You notice how easily attention scatters in the world, how quickly identity can be shaped by expectation noise or comparison. And yet now there is a gentle gravity that draws you back inward without effort. You do not fight distraction with discipline alone. You simply recognize when something is not aligned and let it pass. You begin to sense that awareness itself is a form of care. To notice what is happening within you without immediately acting on it is no longer uncomfortable. You can sit with mixed emotions without needing to resolve them. You can hold joy without grasping and sadness without collapsing. This capacity did not arrive suddenly. It was cultivated through countless small moments when you stayed present instead of escaping, honest instead of performing, patient instead of forcing resolution. Chosen one. You may recognize that your relationship with silence has changed. Silence is no longer empty space that needs to be filled. It becomes a companion. In silence, you are not disappearing. You are recentering. Thoughts still come, but they do not rush you. They move at a pace you can observe. This is where clarity often arises, not as an answer, but as a felt sense of what is true for you now. There is also a refinement in how you relate to meaning. You are less inclined to search for grand explanations. You trust that meaning reveals itself through participation, not analysis alone. What you give your time to, how you show up in ordinary interactions, how you care for what is in front of you, these become expressions of purpose. Purpose is no longer a distant horizon. It is embedded in how you live the moment you are already in. You may notice that identity feels less fixed. Not because you are uncertain, but because you are flexible. You allow yourself to evolve without needing to defend consistency. You can honor who you were without clinging to it. You can move toward what feels right without needing it to make sense to everyone else. This fluidity is not instability, it is responsiveness to life as it unfolds. Chosen. One integration also changes how you experience responsibility toward others. You are less inclined to carry what does not belong to you. You can support without rescuing. You can listen without absorbing. You can care without self-erasure. This discernment protects both you and the people around you. It allows relationships to be more honest, less entangled, more respectful of individual paths. There may be moments when you realize how much energy you once spent managing perception, trying to be understood, trying to be accepted, trying to be enough. As this habit loosens, a quiet relief follows. You do not withdraw from connection. You simply stop negotiating your inner truth for external approval. This makes your presence steadier, less reactive, more authentic. Chosen. One, faith in this phase feels less like belief and more like trust in process. You do not need every step to be illuminated. You are comfortable moving with partial understanding. You recognize that growth often happens beneath awareness before it becomes visible. This trust is not naive. It is grounded in experience. You have seen yourself navigate uncertainty before. You know you can do it again. There is also an increasing respect for simplicity. You are drawn toward what is sustainable rather than impressive. You choose rhythms that nourish rather than exhaust. You recognize that depth does not require constant intensity. It requires presence, continuity, and care. This simplicity is not reduction. It is refinement. Chosen one integration does not remove struggle, but it changes how struggle lives in you. It no longer defines your identity or predicts your future. It becomes one aspect of a much larger landscape. You can meet difficulty without making it personal. You can learn without condemning yourself. This creates resilience that is quiet and enduring. As you continue, remember that nothing needs to be rushed. Integration unfolds at its own pace. Some days will feel clear and grounded. Others may feel diffuse or uncertain. Both belong. What has been integrated does not disappear on days of confusion. It remains available steady beneath surface fluctuations. You are not required to explain this phase to anyone. It does not need interpretation. It needs space. Trust that your life will express what has been integrated in ways that feel natural and unforced. You are not behind. You are not missing anything essential. You are learning how to live from awareness rather than effort, from wholeness rather than striving. And that quietly is enough. Chosen one. This final movement is not a conclusion, but a settling. What has unfolded through these reflections is not meant to lift you into something above your life, but to return you more fully into it. Integration does not pull you away from the world. It roots you within it, quietly, honestly, without spectacle. You are not carrying a new identity. You are inhabiting the one that remained when everything unnecessary fell away. There is a gentleness available to you now that was not possible before endurance shaped you. You no longer need to brace yourself against life. You meet it. You respond instead of resisting. You allow moments to be what they are without immediately asking them to justify themselves. This does not mean you have stopped growing. It means growth is no longer fueled by dissatisfaction. Chosen one. What you have survived did not harden you. It refined you. It taught you discernment without bitterness, strength without armor, faith without force. You do not need to rehearse your past to validate your present. The evidence lives in how you stand now, how you speak, how you remain when uncertainty appears. Wholeness is not loud, it is stable. You may notice that the desire to explain yourself continues to fade, not because you are closed, but because you are complete enough to let misunderstanding exist without correcting it. This is freedom. When inner alignment is present, external agreement becomes optional. You are no longer fragmented by opposing expectations. You choose congruence over approval. There is no final lesson to extract here. Life will continue to offer contrast, challenge, beauty, and loss. Integration does not protect you from this. It prepares you to remain intact through it. You know now how to return to yourself when you drift. You know how to listen when noise grows loud. You know how to soften without disappearing. Chosen one. Let this be simple. Wake up. Live your day. Speak honestly. Rest when needed. Act when aligned. Release what no longer fits without resentment. Hold what matters without clinging. Trust that what has been integrated will guide you without effort. This path does not need witnesses. It does not require urgency. It unfolds through ordinary choices made with awareness. You are not waiting for permission. You are already living the evidence of what you have become. Remain present. Remain kind. Enough. Right now. Chosen one. As this moment closes, do not rush back into the noise of the world. Remain here for a breath, because what has been spoken over you has already begun to move. Heaven does not speak without intention, and this word did not reach you by chance. You are standing in your Kairos moment, the precise intersection of divine timing and spiritual readiness. The confirmation has already been released. The transfer is not approaching in the distance, it is unfolding now. Anointed one. What you feel stirring within you is not emotion alone. It is recognition. What has quietly rested on your life is now being acknowledged in the unseen. You are not stepping into something new. You are stepping into alignment with what was written before your first breath. Grace is meeting endurance. Favor is responding to faithfulness. The hand of God is steady upon you. Receive this blessing. May clarity replace confusion. May peace govern your steps, and may wisdom settle your decisions. May doors open without striving. May provision meet purpose, and may your presence carry light into every place you enter. What resisted you has lost its authority. What watched in silence has lost its voice. You are sealed, covered, and confirmed. Chosen. 1. Remain faithful in the quiet. Stay aligned in the unseen. Walk forward with gratitude, not anxiety, because what is about to manifest will unfold in perfect order. Let trust anchor you. Let humility keep you grounded. Let courage guide your steps. If your spirit bears witness to this moment, you may leave a simple sign of agreement below or remain connected so you do not miss what heaven reveals next. Until we meet again, stay rooted, stay aligned, and remember, you were never late. You were always chosen.